Hi everybody. A change of topic here about Nigel Farage, politician, reacting to the shocking immigration figures in the UK. And it has reached crisis point. We're a small island, and people are coming from, places in the Middle East and the Eastern Bloc. And instead of stopping at the first country they come to, you know, such as France, if they consider themselves to be refugees, they're not. They're coming across from Dunkirk in dinghies across the English Channel as illegal immigrants. There are in Torquay, for example, I don't think he tells you here, but in Torquay, a holiday town, there is just along the one block facing the seafront where a lot of people will go and pay lots of money for a room, 6 hotels with illegal immigrants housed, fed, watered, and given £45 a week to spend on what they want. A lot of them have been caught outside schools taking pictures of young children. And when confronted by an activist, have said it's their culture. What's their culture? Taking pictures of young children. Anyway, listen to this.
We've just had the record net migration figures into the United Kingdom. Before I get to that, let's get some history here. From Windrush in the late 1940s up until the turn of the century, approaching 2000, net migration into Britain ran at an average of 30,000 people every year. All right?
Keep that figure in mind, 30,000.
30,000 a year. Then Mr. Blair gets in and decides we're going to open up the doors
Nightmare.
in the most astonishing way. His deliberate
Tony
attempt
Blair,
to make us a more diverse country.
in my
Since
opinion,
2010,
war
since
criminal.
David Cameron got into power, that might have changed. But no, net migration has gone up consistently to over 200,000 a year.
Weapons of mass destruction, my
up
arse.
as high as 300,000. Since David Cameron became Prime Minister as a Conservative, the British population has risen by 4 million people.
My God.
Since 2001, it's up over 8 million people, pushing really, since the turn of the century, pushing 10 million increase in British population.
10 million
85%
increase.
of it because of immigration.
We are a small island.
The last 12 years of Tory rule. At manifesto after manifesto, they promised us they would cut net migration to tens of thousands a year. Remember, they said it over and over and over, again and again and again. And then, with Brexit, they were going to take back control. And one of the reasons they got a monster 80-seat majority was by getting Brexit done. People thought the immigration problem would be solved. People want, overwhelmingly, fewer to come into our country. The figures released this morning are astonishing.
Can't keep accommodating more and more. We haven't got the resources.
Net migration is estimated to be, wait for it, over 500,000 people.
500,000
that's ever been set in this country's history. Now, they'll say a lot of them that have come are refugees, but just think about the numbers. Oh, and by the way, I nearly forgot. That doesn't include those that came across the English Channel by boat, so you can lob on about another 35,000 for that.
There you go. That's what I just said.
Channel at the moment because it's windy, but there are thousands in camps in Dunkirk waiting to come.
That's what I've just said.
Good weather,
yeah.
It'll be 50,000 that have crossed the Channel this year alone. Why does all this matter? Well, firstly, it's broken promises from the Tories. Oh, I know Labour wouldn't do any better, but I'm sick to death of being lied to at election after election by the Conservatives, and I bet many of you are too. But it matters because of what this rise in population is doing to us in this country. If you want a GP appointment, forget it.
Forget it.
There are too many people.
Can't get one.
You want to get your kids on the housing ladder, forget it. There aren't enough houses, and those that are, of course, because of supply and demand, are simply too expensive. I mean, think about this. We have to build a new house every 5 minutes, 24/7, 365 days a year, just to cope with legal immigration numbers coming into our country. Oh, have you tried travelling on a Friday? Have you tried driving around the country on a Friday? It took me 7.5 hours the other day to go from Kent to Preston. You can't move on the roads. Many of our motorways are now being turned into dangerous, death trap, so-called smart motorways with cameras everywhere. And if you break down, well, you may well die.
Oh,
Why?
my goodness.
Because the population is out of control. Our quality of life is being diminished by what is a major population crisis. It's been done to us by politicians who answer the call of big business because they want as much cheap labour as they can possibly get their hands on. And it's right across the board. It's Conservative, it's Labour, it's the BBC, it's most of mainstream media. Because actually what they're saying is we need even more people. They're not happy with 500,000 a year. They'd like that figure to rise even further.
There is going to be a crisis on the streets in this country. I will predict it.
This subject, I think, is the biggest disconnect between Westminster and the rest of the country. And at some point, we are going to have our say on this. It is unacceptable.
Absolutely.
Our communities are being changed in parts of Britain beyond recognition, and the quality of life for everybody is being diminished.
It's diminished,
just so that a few big businesses can get some more cheap labour.
Disgusting.
It is becoming a disaster.
It is a disaster. I'll be back later, everybody.